Welcome to my Redwood Cup Tournament rookie walkthrough video. In this video, I will walk you through the shots I will use and some of the possible alternatives that we will see on the Sequoia Creek course. This is a guide and is not meant as the absolute solution, but more like a starting place to begin your note-taking process and help you prepare for the tournament. Play according to your clubs, balls, and skill level. Please remember that this walkthrough does not feature the actual tournament wind we will see, and that will only be known once the tournament begins. Also, with this being a new course, I've tried my very best to provide as many possible options and drops as I can within the time that I do have. Throughout the tournament, and according to the wind we have, it is entirely likely that we will discover new routes and perfect the already good ones that you see here. Finally, if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so now and hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any future Erelic gaming content. Let's get into it. Welcome to the first hole of the Redwood Cup Tournament, a lovely par 4 hole that starts things off with an excellent chance for an eagle. I first saw this shot via Golf Clash Tommy, and you can find his link in the video description. I believe that choosing to play a marlin ball here was a solid choice for me, and I first played the drive with my extra mile at 10% downhill elevation, adding maximum topspin and maximum left spin to get the ball as far down the right fairway as possible.
Great shot.
The second shot is a mid-distance, long iron rough bump, where in this example I play with a backbone. I play at 10% downhill here and use zero spin of any kind in this moderate crosswind. I set up the shot with the top of the yellow ring touching the fairway and aim directly at the pin.
Perfect shot. Eagle.
When I look at hole 2, I think of the strip of rough in front of the green and the possibility for perhaps a rocket rough bump or something similar in the tournament. We'll see. But in this example, I regret not playing the shot with more backspin. In the future, I think I'll play this with about 3 bars of backspin and still continue to aim a wood club, such as a Viper or Sniper, directly at the pin. However, adjusting here at 20% downhill with a marlin ball worked out nicely as the line was good. It's just that we about dented the pin, coming in a bit too hot.
Perfect shot.
First, I will show you the hole 3 eagle as played via the left side fairway. This shot I play at 10% downhill elevation with an extra mile and a marlin ball. Set it up with the top of the yellow ring touching the rough and apply maximum topspin and maximum right spin to aim the ball guide directly down the middle of the second fairway. You could play this with a small amount of right curl, but to me that's not necessary.
Perfect shot.
The second shot I also play at 10% downhill elevation with my Viper. However, if you choose this route, I strongly recommend that you bring a big dog to minimize your need for overpower. This isn't a shot so much about accuracy as it is distance and getting it as close to the green as possible. I apply maximum topspin and maximum right spin As well, I use maximum overpower and maximum right curl with this Viper 8 to get it as close to the green as possible. The third shot, I play at 20% downhill elevation in complete minimum distance with my level 4 thorn. The bottom of my yellow ring just touching the fringe as to land on the nice flat green, since the fairway leading up to it is a downhill slope. I need about 1 bar of topspin coming into this headwind, but with some side wind you might not need any spin at all, and in a tailwind you ought to use about a bar of backspin.
Perfect shot. Eagle.
My favorite way to play hole number 3 looks to be the right side, with a quarterback drive and a wood club second shot to make it to the green or close to it. I play the drive with a Titan ball and my quarterback, or even a rock in a decent level, basically any driver with a high degree of accuracy. Adjust here for 10% downhill and aim to position yourself near the top left of the fairway with about a bar of left spin and 2 to 3 bars of top spin, depending on the wind.
Perfect shot.
For the approach to the pin, the goal is to trickle out of the final piece of rough and roll down towards the hole. A big dog would serve you well here when the main goal is to get an eagle and just get out of here. However, with a Viper or a Sniper, it is still possible with maximum overpower and maximum topspin in most wind conditions to make it to the green for a possible albatross, but be content with an eagle on a hole that I believe many rookie players will score a birdie. This is at least one hole where you could consider using a horizon. Hole 4 sets up very nicely with a wood club such as a Sniper or a Viper and a simple Marlin or Quasar ball. The reason for a Quasar would be to have the option of more side spin to be able to set a landing position a little further from the bunkers, such as using some left spin and playing a little further up near the top of the right bunker. In this example, I adjust for 10% downhill elevation with my Marlin ball and a Viper level 8 and 1 bar of backspin that I would like to use about 1.5 to 3 in the future depending on the wind, since we do come in here a bit too hot. I like the setup between the bunkers in the middle of the fairway to have a straight shot at the pin. However, play this according to your taste. First, I will demonstrate one way to play this hole via the left side route. I choose a Quasar ball for its side spin, which is needed on the drive, as well as a backbone or other trusty long iron for the second shot. Adjusting for 10% downhill elevation, I apply 1 bar of topspin and maximum right spin with a ball of right curl. In this strong southeast headwind, the landing position with the blue ring touching the rough works nicely. I do think that will be a consistent landing position in all winds.
Perfect shot.
The second shot, I'm left with a straightforward long iron play. I adjust for 10% downhill with my backbone level 8 in mid distance. I feel like in the long run, playing closer to the green will give me a more consistent result, since the fairway is a downhill slope and the yardages and elevation will be varied depending on the drive. Give it a try, but I do think that the backbone play here will work very nicely for most players.
Great shot.
To set myself up for a nice short iron to the pin, I chose the drive that goes between the two large trees in the middle of the fairway. Adjust this shot with 10% downhill elevation, and just to make it easier for myself, I chose a Titan ball, but this isn't a necessity. For the future, I will set up with half the red ring touching the left rough to great proof it a bit more, but play it always with maximum topspin and apply left spin to aim the ball guide down the middle of the fairway. My approach shot to the pin, I adjust for 10% downhill elevation and somewhere in between mid and max distance, so approximately 75% slider, depending on your drive. Due to the headwind, I play this shot with a bar of topspin, but we will likely add 1 to 2 bars of backspin in average rookie tournament wind conditions.
Perfect shot. Nice on.
So far, I prefer to play hole 6 to the left path. I use an extra mile and a marlin ball here, but for the second shot I would recommend a power 3 ball, such as a Titan. In my situation, I adjust for 10% downhill with half a bar of topspin and a bar of right spin, aiming to keep the ball close to the right side of the fairway, but as safely as possible.
Perfect shot.
For the second shot, with the aim being to second bounce rough bump and trickle down to the fairway in front of the green. I add maximum topspin and maximum right spin. Then I use maximum over power and maximum right curl. I set myself far enough to the left in my landing position to great proof this shot.
Great shot.
As you can see, it rolls out nicely and gives us a chance at eagle. The third shot here is also downhill, so I play it at 10% with my max distance firefly, just getting the ball guide almost to the hole. I think this will be a very difficult hole to albatross unless we take the right side drive option, but this should prove a nice straightforward eagle for all rookie players.
Perfect shot. Eagle.
Hole 7 is another hole that I'm going to show you two different ways to play. I think the left side is the most straightforward, but leaves a slightly longer second shot. Playing here with a marlin ball seems to be more than adequate, but you can cut down the wind nicely if you choose a navigator or better in the tournament. Adjusting for 10% downhill, I apply maximum topspin and 1 bar of right spin, aiming safely down the middle, but favoring the right side of the fairway. I use a touch of overpower to compensate for this headwind, but we're very unlikely to see headwind on a rookie par 4 tournament hole. The second shot is played with a long iron, such as the backbone. I usually choose the backbone for its accuracy, but if I need a bit more distance, I would pick the Goliath. I adjusted here for 10% downhill and used 2.5 bars of backspin. In this headwind condition, I should have used only 2 bars of backspin, but in normal tourney conditions, this should be a perfect amount of spin.
Perfect shot. Nice on.
So in the second way to play hole number 7, I prefer the right side method due to the second shot being much shorter, but the drive has a smaller tolerance for error than the left side. I choose a tightened ball, but with a little more overpower, a navigator should do just fine. Adjust here for 10% downhill elevation. I use maximum topspin and maximum right spin, but if you have a tailwind, be sure to use just a little less topspin. About 20% overpower here helps me hit the mark nicely and roll out to a perfect position for the second shot.
Perfect shot.
I also adjust the second shot here for 10% downhill elevation. It sets up nicely as a mid-distance short iron, and as per usual, I choose the thorn. However, a hornet or other short iron of your preference will also work. I use 2 bars of backspin and a tick of right spin to counter that right to left wind. Make sure to leave a bit of space to account for the missing ball guide of a lower level club.
Perfect shot. Nice on.
Hole 8 is an interesting par 3 that presents itself as very simple and innocent, but has a lot of nuances as to the landing positions. Finding a nice consistent landing zone will be the secret to a hole-in-one here. I played this attempt with 4.5 bars of backspin on my Viper 8 at 10% downhill, landing here on the down slope. I find that you need to use a lot of backspin since there's a very realistic chance of rolling off the back of the green without it. I do believe that the play will be to land on the upslope closer to the green to slow the ball down more and require less backspin, or use a club such as the Guardian to take advantage of the backspin. Regardless of how you approach this hole, I think this one will be important for an extra drop come the weekend. The final hole of the tourney is an interesting par 5. I think that playing the left side route will work out the best for most rookie players. I adjust the drive for 10% downhill elevation. I attempted to use a quarterback and a tightened ball. I actually think that we would greatly benefit from the side spin 3 and power 3 of a Kingmaker for this hole. Also, I had about the worst possible wind to try to pull off this kind of drive, but in most other conditions, this will be how I'll try to play here. Even bouncing off the rough and landing on the fairway is totally acceptable. Use maximum topspin, maximum left spin, and maximum left curl here.
Great shot.
I do think it's possible to albatross this hole with a longer drive and a wood club with a decent ball guide. To me, this is the tourney of second bounce rough bumps. Adjust for 10% downhill for the shot, and I think we should be able to position ourselves so that we use maximum topspin for the second bounce to hit the rough and roll out nicely to the hole. A higher level sniper or even a horizon comes to mind if you have one in a reasonable level, or more conservatively, your second bounce may land just past the rough for a more conventional rollout to the pin. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in to my rookie walkthrough for the Redwood Cup tournament. If you have any comments or feedback, please leave them in the comment section below and I'll respond as soon as I can. Please remember to subscribe now to join Erelic Gaming and not miss out on any of my future content. It's been my absolute pleasure to share this walkthrough with you, and I look forward to seeing you out on the course. Good luck to you in the Redwood Cup tournament.